Alright guys, I want to do a quick video that I got an idea for after I built a brand new diff. I'm just going to kind of explain a quick break-in process. We'll get into sanding the rings after. One thing for sure, always give your springs a good full crush before you get started. Other than that, follow your associated manual as far as lubing, assembling the diff. The important part comes when you tighten. I like to get the diff tight enough to where it functions, meaning when I spin this out drive, the other out drive goes in the opposite direction. So we'll tighten it just enough to get it to function. I'm going to do this demo on an old diff, but you get the point. So now I got the diff just starting to function and spin on the rings. What we're going to do here is prevent and seat these rings without crushing them. The manual says tighten the diff down, back it off 1/8 of a turn, but in my opinion, that's similar to the vise will represent the diff rings. The golf ball here kind of represents your diff balls, and once you tighten it down, you've kind of already flat spotted the ball, and then you're going to try to break in afterwards. Let's do the break in before that step. We'll come back over here. Best tool I've ever had for about, I don't know, 18 years now is just an old worn out drive shaft. Take a Dremel, cut the side off, chuck it into a drill, and then we just got the diff functioning. Let's go ahead and put this guy in here. Now more is always more. You know, I like to at least do probably 30 seconds each direction. You can go a minute if you want, but then we're going to go back in and we're just going to keep doing this quarter turn at a time and repeat. Now, you know, we might have to do this, I don't know, 10 or 15 times until we get the nut to kind of get close to bottoming out. Now I typically only do my diffs probably once a year. Usually about time we head to Chili Bowl, I'll put new diffs in my cars and they last all year. Now this one, the diff is actually pretty smooth and feels pretty good after a full season on it. I'm replacing it because the out drives are starting to cup and get worn out. I hear a lot of people ask all the time, you know, how to get your diff to last a full race season, and I typically run mod sprint. We're running 6.5 motors on clay, pretty high bite, putting down a lot of power, and usually diff is last of my worries. So I'm not going to speed up the video, and we'll just go ahead and crank this guy on down till about you feel snug. Then after the full break-in, you back it off that 1/8 of the turn. You got a pretty smooth diff. But now I just want to demonstrate the ring sand and the way I typically do it. People may have varying opinions, but this is just how I've always done it. So usually I'll just take the new out drive and We'll slap it on here. Nice flat surface, something with not a lot of imperfections in it. And we're going to give this thing, I usually use like 400 grit. I think anything between 2 and 400 would be sufficient. But when you look at this, you want to look closely and you can see any imperfections in that ring, and you want to sand on it until basically you have a solid, smooth, flat surface all the way across the diff ring. And once you achieve that, do both sides, assemble your diff like the instructions show, do the break-in process like I just explained, and you should have a very nice buttery smooth diff that'll last you a good full season. You know, a lot of times setting your slipper is pretty important. Once you get your diff in the car, you don't want to bark it. You'll have a nice fresh diff that'll last you a full season. But I can't say without a cut-off drive shaft that I'd have the same kind of luck. Thanks for watching, guys.